The word luxury is thrown around so often, it's almost lost its meaning.
We've been very lucky, honestly, working with big names like Cartier, Armani, Hermès.
What is the most memorable or outrageous request a client has made?
My house is finished. When I put in the furniture in my bedroom, you see nothing. It's just like a football field. What can I do?
Sometimes material can be very exotic. So when you had to walk on this floor, you had to put on furry boots, and you couldn't actually walk on the floor. You had to schlep your feet along without actually tapping them.
It doesn't matter if you have the right flooring if you're getting sick from your air conditioning system.
Luxury for a European buyer, an Emirati family, or a Chinese investor will be completely different.
When you bring luxury into Dubai standards, it's really, I think, around security, family values, and allowing people to basically live the life that they want to live.
When is luxury true luxury? Welcome to the Merit Talks podcast. In today's world, real estate influences our daily lives, our well-being, and even our future. I'm your host, Harley Jenner, and Merit Talks is our discussion club, bringing experts and thought leaders together in one conversation. We'll go beyond property to explore how great people and bold ideas design the way we live, work, and connect. Today, I am joined by three very wonderful people. The first to join us is Michael Belton. Michael has more than 30 years of experience in global real estate. He has managed over $5 billion worth of assets across the US, Europe, and the Middle East. Today, as CEO of Merit, Michael is leading the company's expansion across the UAE and the wider GCC. Michael, thank you for joining us today. Our next guest is Saad Moaswes, the founder and managing director of Bond Interiors, the company behind the interiors for Cartier, Hermès, the Lana Dorchester, and the St. Regis hotels, as well as many other global brands. I am also joined by Dr. Chadi Chamoun, the Director of Development and Innovation at Bond Interiors, and the former Dean of Architecture and Design at the American University in Dubai. Bond Interiors is the GCC's largest fit-out interior firm. Started nearly 40 years ago in 1986, they have over 2,000 employees across 5 countries, and they have more than 500,000 square foot of sustainable production. Thank you very much for joining me today on our very first episode of Merit Talks. I couldn't think of a better way to start this podcast series. I'm really looking forward to our conversation today. Over the next half an hour, I'll take the opportunity to learn from all of your extensive experience in creating spaces that don't just look impressive, but really elevate the way people live. And I'd love for us to dive into a tricky topic. When is luxury true luxury? So the first question is about partnerships. A little context, Merit has recently partnered with Bond Interiors as the fit-out firm for iconic residences designed by Pininfarina, Merit's luxury flagship development based here in Dubai Internet City. So Michael, partnerships don't just happen. What was it about Bond that made you say, this is the company I want to build with?
Well, we have already a year and a half of experience with Bond. They have come in and done the show flat in our sales center here in Iconic Towers, designed by Pininfarina. And what we felt from them from the very early on is people who really strive to go ahead and understand their client, and they want the opportunity to build a project that they can be proud of, and that really aligns with our DNA. At Merit, we try to get the best of the best. That's in the talent of our people. It's with our architecture firms, our engineering firms, contractors, and what all of our clients feel at the end of the day is the finishes. So when you appoint your partner for the interiors, it has to be someone who can finalize the last piece of that dream. And I think there's no one in the market who does not know Bond. They are the gold standard, and we're very lucky to have them as our partners. And I think that we will expand the relationship past iconic residences, and we hope to be doing hundreds of thousands of square meters with them. So very, very glad to see you today in our office here.
And Saad, when you looked at Merit, what convinced you that it was the right match for Bond?
Well, thank you for the introduction, Harley, and thank you, Michael, for your good words. I think it was a good experience that we had right from the beginning. It's not just talking about luxury. They want to deliver luxury, and they are giving us all the tools, helping us, supporting us to do the right thing. We're not being like pushed on time or on a budget.
The word luxury is thrown around so often, it's almost lost its meaning. So you've witnessed the entire evolution of luxury within this region. Can you tell us about that experience?
Luxury obviously has evolved over the years. What was luxury when I started business 40 years ago is different from now. And in the old days, it was about big spaces, bulky things.
Mahogany wood.
Mahogany, yeah, exactly. It's gold leafing. Funny, I had a friend of my father who came to me one time. He said, my house is finished, my villa is done. When I put in the furniture in my bedroom, you see nothing. It's like a football field. And what can I do? I said, well, I mean, obviously, and you need to have the right designers right from the beginning. You don't we just go big and because you think that is luxury. That's luxury is different. Now luxury is more like other than the finishes, it's the lifestyle, it is the comfort, it is the being practical. It's no more just big and sizable.
Michael, you've built across the globe. What was considered luxury then, and how is that different to today?
Well, I think it goes to many levels. I think right now the most important thing is probably wellness, and that people care about their body. So they're going to the gym, they're going to the spa, they're eating better, drinking the right water, trying to cut down on alcohol. We see that is a level of luxury that we didn't have in the past, where everything was to excess, whether it was the size of your bedroom or whether it was the parties on the weekends. I think now people are a little bit more sensible. And again, I'm getting older where I can track how luxury has changed. We see it from residential to office to the way people want to do their retail shopping. It's a whole thing where I think people are somehow, I don't know if they're evolving, but they're appreciating different things. And then when you get the people here, the luxury keeps going to whether it's a beautiful building or it's a great school for your children. So I think that when you bring luxury into Dubai standards, it's really, I think, around security, family values, and allowing people to basically live the life that they want to live. And that's probably the ultimate luxury.
So this is a question more for Saad and Dr. Chadi. What is the most memorable or outrageous request a client has made, either in the past or recently, where they were convinced that this request was the height of luxury?
Yeah, this is an interesting question. Yeah, thank you. It's something that I've had experience with recently, like a couple of weeks back. We had an issue at one of the sites, and the client requested me to join in and take a look at the villa. The client thinks that he selected the best marble. That's to him was luxury. But when we actually want to work with that marble, it's not the right one. It's not.
It doesn't work.
Yeah, it doesn't work. Yeah. So yeah, that marble was extremely expensive, like one of the most expensive marbles. But it's not the right thing.
And he had to change it in the end.
Unfortunately, yes.
Oh dear.
It's very expensive to replace again. But again, we had to go for something less expensive and more practical.
And with a great result in the end.
With the best result, absolutely. Yeah.
And Dr. Chadi, do you have any memorable requests?
Out of respect for the community that we serve, names, locations have to be anonymous. So in several cases, and this is something which we've seen in several circumstances, where a client would come up to us and say, look, I've just finished building my home, right? But I don't like it. I'm not happy with the result. I want you guys to tear everything out and please come in and do it for me the way that Bond operates, at the Bond standard. For me, that is one of the pinnacles of the conversation of luxury. And when they say beauty is in the eye of the beholder, in today's terminology, luxury is in the eye of the beholder. For them, a standard that we deliver is the standard of luxury, and whatever they had before is second rate. So they're willing to scrap tens of millions of dirhams for us to come in and meticulously operate for them. Now, is that outlandish? In common terms, it is, but on a greater scale, when you want the very best and you're willing to wait for it, we'll deliver it for you. And if that's outlandish, then we're very happy to provide that.
There haven't been any golden toilet seats.
No,
no good stuff like that.
It's about the power of somebody to drive what they want, and to have that empowerment is a marvelous thing, because it comes only to a very selected few.
I have an interesting story about an outrageous situation that happened. I was once building a $400 million home for a wealthy businessman, and he hired this architect from France, top class architect. We went through the drawings, and the building was about 8,500 square meters. And I said to the architect, and I won't say his name, but I said, it seems like it's a little bit too big. I mean, the ballroom is too much of a ballroom, and there's too much space by the pool. And he said, okay, we'll come back and we'll work on it. 2 days later, we had a meeting with the client, and the client pulled me to his office, and he said to me in very colorful language, who asked you to save money on my house?
Absolutely.
And I said, but the price went from 400 million up to 525 million. He said, once again, who asked you to save money on my house? And I said, understood.
That sums it up. I'll give you another anecdote. So, I mean, again, sometimes it's materiality, and to the point, sometimes material can be very exotic, like tortoise shells. At some point, some clients want very particular material embedded, let's say, in the flooring, such as, collecting these beautiful, large back tortoises, peeling them, integrating them into the flooring. But then the challenge comes, this is a very sensitive material. It's more sensitive than leather. And then so how do you walk on these? So when you had to walk on this floor, you had to put on furry boots, and you couldn't actually walk on the floor. You had to schlep your feet along without actually tapping them. So it even goes to the point where it affects your movement in a space. These stories edge on the point of becoming too personal, and I should stop there.
That's a very interesting story.
Oh, it gets much worse, but we won't.
I am sure. Well, we can share those on another podcast episode.
Yes,
Dr. Chadi can give you a lot of stories.
absolutely.
So moving on to the next question. Today, everyone claims to be luxury. How difficult is it to compete in such a crowded space? And do you think we can reach new levels of luxury? Michael, would you like to go first?
Okay. I think we can, and we strive to. I think that, again, it's not necessarily the flooring or the bed sheets you sleep on or your walk-in closet. Again, here at Iconic Residences, we have reverse osmosis water filtration systems, which allow people to drink water out of the tap. It's very good for the environment, one, and two, there's a problem with a lot of men losing hair that due to the desal, we believe it's associated with that. So we are going to provide that luxury to our clients. Secondly is the air you breathe. We see all the sand in the air in Dubai. We have hospital-grade filtration systems. And what that means is that, of course, if your balcony is open, the air can come in. But in general, we want to filter that air so you're not getting that into your lungs. The next level, besides the apartments, is the amenities. We want to provide everything that our clients may need, and we try to think about the future. So one example is that we have a home cinema in Iconic, and we're going to convert that cinema partially into a podcast center, because now everybody is using this type of media, and we want to be one of the first developers that we put a podcast studio into each one of our projects. I think we may be one of the first now when we do this at Iconic. But these things that add luxury to people's lives, whether it's the swimming pool, the gym, a lounge area, a birthday area, all these things that you need for your family, we believe that we're going to be at the forefront of providing luxury.
Do you still have unsold apartments here? I think.
After that description, not for much longer.
We're gonna sell you two gentlemen, two of them more. Exactly.
Yeah.
And Saad and Dr. Chadi, what do you think?
Actually, I would like to again to compliment you on what you just said. This is something that people don't see in their house. It's their conditioning, it is the services, it's the electrical services, it's the plumbing. But you mentioned also, I mean, what you did also goes beyond with the filtration system, whether it is air or water. I mean, simple things to talk about, but these are very, 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 very important.
It doesn't matter if you have the right flooring if you're getting sick from your air conditioning.
So again, that can affect your timber flooring, for instance, or your wall, because the mildew that can build. Yeah.
I'll shift to an analogy in a similar space. If you and we're talking about Pininfarina, and we're talking about the whole sort of quality of a build. If you were to think of a sports car, you could have the very best sports car, but at the end, what's connecting you and the road? It's 10 millimeters of rubber, a rubber tire that is maneuvering, in some instances, a multi-million-dollar vehicle. So the item which has the least sort of potential impact is actually impacting your whole experience, and that's luxury for you. It's those details, such as the wheels of a car, that are going to affect your experience. In the case of air conditioning, to go back to what the gentlemen were saying, at Bond, when we build air conditioning system, one of the things that we ensure is that AC attenuation is actually calibrated for sound decibel levels, not only for airflow. We insulate, in some cases, high-density rubber inside the duct to eliminate any potential noise vibration, in addition to any of the standard layers of foam or layers of isolation. We test for sound attenuation. It's the same thing that you test for on a car. The parallels, and I commend you on the relationship with the brands that you're positioning yourself with. The relationship between the automotive experience and the living experience are becoming so intertwined in today's market. It's phenomenal, because if you consider the amount of time you spend in your home, the amount of time you spend in your vehicle, in some cases they're quite similar, and these things are never ending, and you really need to pay attention to it.
Especially in Dubai roads these days, you spend a lot of time.
Absolutely. The vibration, the sound, the quality, the experience, the air quality, the home. What I see Merit doing is they're creating a home as a fine-tuned machine for living. If I had to sum it up,
I think we may have to use that in some of our future materials.
Well, you are the inspiration for that. Thank you.
Thank you very much. So Dubai has over 200 nationalities. Luxury for a European buyer, an Emirati family, or a Chinese investor will be completely different in terms of the space, the materials, even down to the colors. So how do you design and build for such different expectations without losing focus.
Any of those nationalities, whether it's a European or an Emirati or a Chinese investor, that everybody appreciates precision. Another thing, because the things that connect us are so much more, right? But if we wanted to mention what separates us, right? Maybe more Eastern cultures appreciate some things that have some cultural references, right? Things that mean something, and I think Merit does that quite well in the selection of the wood, in the selection of the marble, the way that in the show apartment, in the kitchen, how the marble sort of intertwines and it connects with the metal, and then on the other side the marble terminates with the wood. There's a bit of very sort of Eastern storytelling, and you can see that in places such as China, where you have this embellishment of exotic materials coming together, But when a European looks at that, they see something different. They see the subtleness in which you connected those three materials, right? They see the sort of almost the zero joint, the zero tolerance for error in the connection of those three, right? And I think when an Emirati looks at that, they enjoy the spaciousness that was provided by those connections. So the power of luxury is to be able for that item to be interpreted in different ways by different people.
Michael, do you have anything to add?
I would say that as far as luxury for different markets, as Merit's come into this market, we have tried to define what separates us from our competitors and who our target market is and how we can really deliver a message to them. And 85% of the buyers that we have at Pininfarina, Iconic Residences, are Europeans. They appreciate, I think, the materials that we're providing. They appreciate the amenities we're providing. They appreciate the area that we're in. So we really try to refine the design and the experience for them. We don't have any Chinese buyers here. Partially that's due to the fact that the Chinese like a different part of Dubai. I understand that also for the Indian buyers, I think we have maybe 2 or 3. They also prefer to be in a villa that's a little more inland. The water is not as important for them. So we've really tried to hone in on this market, really who our buyers are. And then with Pininfarina, they bring out that European vibe. It's Dolce Vita. It's the really, really bold design moves that Pininfarina brings in, whether it's in a Ferrari or a Maserati. And we just really try to just reinforce that with every decision we do. And that's how we've addressed it here. And Abu Dhabi, it's a different market. We have a different architect. We haven't announced who that is. We will, I think, in a couple of weeks. But it's a Pritzker-winning architect. It's a project right on the water. Architecture that is so out of this world. I think the people in Abu Dhabi will not recognize it. We have amazing interest because it is different. It's not a kind of a cold blue glass building. It's very earthy and it brings people down to the water. So it's a little bit of a different vibe. But again, quality through materials, quality through experience, and I think we'll have another podcast in a couple of months and tell you how our Project Riviera Residence is doing in Abu Dhabi.
Yeah, definitely. So, Saad, what is the biggest myth about luxury?
I think that the most important thing, or one of the most important things, is the livelihood. That that you need to have a space that you're comfortable with. That's you go into your house, need to be comfortable. Yeah.
How many people are not comfortable in their living environment? I think initially it's probably quite a few.
Unfortunately, yes.
On paper and on production, it's different sometimes. So that's an interesting point. If you can design and deliver your home and you feel comfortable and warm and proud.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah.
Luxury is often invisible. It's the details that we don't even notice. How do you lead your teams to deliver that level of craftsmanship when many of them may never even have experienced that level of luxury themselves?
Again, I think this is one of those conversations that we often have, and drawing on something that happened with Saad a few months ago. He was on a trip to Italy, talking about hidden luxury. He spent a greater part of his trip visiting specialized hardware manufacturers, looking for particular closure mechanisms and sliding mechanisms that would be integrated in our wardrobe. And again, it's that sort of subtleness and attention to detail that he promotes throughout the company. So once, let's say, that hinge is identified or that hardware is identified, how is that integrated into our manufacturing culture, into people that may not have experience first on? So it's disseminated the same way that water flows. So we bring in that piece of hardware that Saad has personally sourced, and that'll be built in several mock-ups, that'll be built in several trials. We'll try it in large format doors, short format doors. We'll see how it operates in different mechanisms, in different weather. One of your recent sort of nuances was that we recently got into creating these massive doors. Everybody wants a very big door now, about 4.5 meters in height. And so the way that we started paying attention to these nuances is Saad said, you know what? Build a few of them, put them outside, right in the middle of the heat, and I want to soak them there for 6 months. So this level of precision and ensuring that what we do is tested, not just on paper, but physically in this environment.
It's an important part of the business. And this is something that is not on the bill of quantity.
It's not billable on the bill of quantity.
You cannot charge for it.
No, you can't.
The research and development, obviously, is a very important part of the business. We go into a lot of preparation before we start anything new. Whenever we have a problem, we look at many ways to solve the problem, whether it is the drawing board, the technical department. We have an army, architects, interior designers, detailing. We're not designers. We were a contractor manufacturer. So this team, we have a big team here in Dubai, and we have another big team in India. That's our own office. The fact is, this is absolutely necessary for the business. Being in Dubai is a very, very challenging market. So you need to be always versatile, move with the market, look at the market demands, especially in the luxury segment. That's the fun part of our business.
You're having a lot of fun trying out all these techniques.
Oh, yeah.
Oh yes. But it involves also a lot of traveling, so that's...
Well,
Dr. Chadi is sometimes jealous,
yeah.
But I whenever I have a cappuccino, I devote one for him as well.
does Saad allow you to travel with him, or is that just...
No, I often have the opportunity. Travel is linked to the acquisition of knowledge. And I think, Bond's passion about that, and Saad's passion about that, is what pushes this momentum forward. And the more we do that, the more we get involved with it, even to the level of craftsman selection. And notice I use the word craftsman and not labor. We don't have labor, which a majority of the community does. We have craftsmen. We have craftsmen at different stages in their career. A first level, a second level, a third level, a senior. The silent layers of luxury, the unspoken layers. How do you embed that in the systems? It's by sourcing those tradesmen, sourcing those craftsmen from a person who works on a metal lathe, right? The history of the lathe is something that is about, 1500 years BC. I mean, it's a very ancient tool, but it's been modernized. But the people that work on it are, again, from very specific regions. You know, when you go and you want to find like a specific bottle of wine or a specific cut of beef, that you go to very specific regions in the world for that. And when you look for a metal craftsman, it's about as complex as looking for that bottle of wine or looking for that, Wagyu cut of beef, which only comes from a certain region. These tradesmen only come from certain regions.
Okay.
Yes. It is that particular. I mean, he can tell you endless stories of that. You really need to be that deep in your supply chain.
That's very true, honestly. Yes. I mean, in the early days, I used to go myself, travel all over, selecting the right people.
Testing them.
Testing, yes. I mean, whether it is in India, Bangladesh, Sri Lanka, Philippines, Nepal. I've done all that, selecting the right people. And of course, when they come here, we still have to train them.
To the Bond way.
Yeah. But you have to start with the right experience that they have. A carpenter needs to be a carpenter.
This is why we feel very comfortable in our partnership and why we've selected Bond to be with us, because we see this, we understand that our genesis, our DNA come from the same place, and we're very happy to have you with us at Mirad.
Thank you, Michael.
So you have pretty much answered the next question I was going to ask, whether that you've been known to be very hands-on for decades and about traveling the world. So you don't just travel to source materials, you're traveling to source employees as well.
Oh,
absolutely, yeah. I mean, basically our business is all about people and material. Both are important. And putting these together is even more important. You have to arrive the right technical knowledge, engineers. And it's obviously, it cannot be done also without the involvement of the most important part is the client. When the client is demanding, and honestly speaking, our best jobs is when the client is demanding quality, when the client is supporting us to do the right thing, not the wrong thing, unfortunately, in some of the cases.
Yes. Michael, what about you? How important is it for leaders today to be present on the ground, not just behind closed doors in boardrooms?
Oh, I think it means everything. I'm often on the construction site, as you know, Harley. I am out of my office, meeting with my people, meeting oftentimes through LinkedIn, people who are maybe looking for a transition, because we need good people, and there are good people in the market, and I like to meet with them. I don't go through headhunters if I do, it's very rarely. And the idea is that I want to meet with the people. I want to hear what my competitors are saying. I want to hear what the brokers are saying. So if you sit in the castle and you wait for people to come to you, the market will blow you by, especially with technology these days. And the young people are even smarter. And as you get a little bit older, you have to be open to new ideas, open to new technology. And I push myself in all those areas.
From an investor's dream to an architect's design to Bond's execution, there's a lot of room for things to get lost in translation. How do you ensure that the essence of the vision doesn't get diluted?
Communication, one word, a tale as old as time. That level of communication that you have to manage on a daily basis, those conversations that you have to manage on a daily basis, those tough talks that you have to manage, those will keep things flowing in the right direction. It's about keeping very clear lines of communication with all parties involved, right? And we're not under the impression that all parties are perfect. They are not. But one thing, again, that Saad always stresses on is find the good in this person. I've come up to him in the past, I said, I find this person very difficult to deal with. He then repositions and says, well, what's the good in this? What what is the value? I mean, for this person to be where they are, there's something they've done quite well. And he'll say, come to terms with that and leverage that. Again, communication always open, regardless of the challenges. And that's what drives success. Did I miss anything, Saad? Would you?
Oh, that's perfect. Thank you.
Thank you.
Dr. Chadi has always come to the rescue when it comes to the right words.
So can you give us a teaser before we end the podcast? What signature element or material can we expect to see in iconic residences designed by Pininfarina?
The thing that you can expect, I sort of leaked out a bit. I'd say this beautiful marriage between materials that you wouldn't expect to find lingering together and touching each other. Sort of like Beauty and the Beast. I mean, if the hard, the soft, the subtle, the fragile, all interconnecting. I mean, when you're walking in that show apartment, you lose your breath for a reason, and that's because of the caress that these materials have with each other. I'll leak that far. For the rest, you're going to have to come in and see it for yourself.
Of course. Great.
I have one teaser that many people don't know about, that we have recently added a paddle court to the podium of the Pininfarina Tower.
Wow.
Right? So something that we put extra expense in, did a redesign. So we will have a paddle court here at Iconic Residences.
That's beautiful.
Congratulations.
And we can organize a match once the...
But you have to teach me
Build is
first.
ready.
Yeah.
You have a couple of years.
I'll handle the drinks. You guys can play paddle.
I'm not very much into sports other than yoga and a little bit of running and...
A little. He does 7 kilometers. A little. I like the little part.
Do you have anything you'd like to add?
No, I'd just like to thank our guests for coming in today, and Harley, thank you for hosting this podcast. I think I've learned more about Bond today, and I hope to continue to grow the relationship and learn more as we go.
Well, thank you everyone for joining me today. I think we have really dived into what makes a project luxury and what luxury is. So I would like to end with a few questions that I will be asking all of our guests. As luxury is so subjective, what does luxury mean to you?
You want to answer that, Dr. Chadi?
Luxury is two primary things. It's time, because time is a commodity that you can't buy more of. Right? So that is the pinnacle of luxury and everything that comes around it.
What is the most important aspect of buying a property?
So I think that there are a number of elements to it. If you're buying it for yourself, if you're buying it for an investment, and it depends upon where you are in that part of your life. I think a property is a good investment that you can make regardless of those criteria, because hopefully you can build that equity around yourself. If you are a salaried employee, buying an apartment allows you to go ahead and go up the next level. So you're not just living from hand to mouth. So if I were to buy a property, and I have bought properties in Dubai, I bought one at Pininfarina. I've bought another one at our project in Abu Dhabi. I bought them because I believe in that location, and I believe in the quality that we're going to be delivering. So I think if you're going to buy a property, buy with someone who you believe is going to give you what they put on paper, because oftentimes what you see on paper and what's realized are two different things. And we strive that what you see in our render, whether it's the facade or whether it's the interior, is what you're going to get.
Great. And my final question, what do you think will matter the most to future generations in their homes?
I think it's the lifestyle, the amenities, going back again to being comfortable at your house. For me, this is number one. But I think for the future generation, again, I guess you add on to that technology. there's a lot of development. I think in buildings, we have not seen so far a lot of technological improvements, and I think there's a lot of room for that. People talk about smart homes, but that I don't think it's so far. You see it implemented properly.
It's a drop phrase.
Smart
phrase.
homes. Yeah, what does it mean? I think there is a lot of improvement into that sector.
Yeah. Maybe that's what we'll see in the future then. So thank you very much for joining me today. And I hope I can have you on the podcast again in the future.
Well, you mentioned that there is a podcasting facility in the iconic.
I think you'll be building it, Saad. So yes.
Yes. Thank you, Michael, for the chance of working with you with Merit.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Okay, now we have to redo it, right? That was the first cut.
And back to the beginning.